I mean, that guy is as rough as they come. Did you see him, look like he was on ice skates? You saw him take that head kick and stumble around?
Yeah.
I will tell you, as insensitive as it may sound, that was hilarious for me. I have never seen a guy like that on those kinds of legs. I never even really liked the term, he looks like he's on ice skates, when a poor guy's stumbling and just trying to recover. But that's what it looked like. I was sitting at home watching it. Thought, what did I just see? And then he recovers into a double leg. He doesn't get it, but he buys himself a few seconds. He works out the cobwebs. So many things about Kevin Lee, and I shared with you last week. When Jake Smith and I went and sparred with him, we talked to each other when it was done. And we said, that sumbitch is doing stuff that we're not. That is a representation of the next wave of MMA fighters. We have got to steal this. We have to steal these lessons and change some things we do. And he does have two speeds. I talked to you about that. I'm going to keep talking about it. Jacob, I don't know if you or anybody else can understand what I mean unless I was to show you. But he will come out with two different speeds. And one is fast and one is ultra fast. But he will lure you in, pumping a jab at you, throwing a cross at you until he sees you reacting to that speed, and then he puts the pedal down. And he made a comment before he went into that fight. He said, I'm going to beat Barboza worse than Khabib did. And that was a huge claim for him to make. I mean, he really set the bar right there. If he just beat Barboza, but he didn't beat him worse than Khabib did, right? He set the bar himself. It was a risky gambler's move. I think he did. I did think that the damage that Barboza took against Khabib was excessive. There was two 10-8 rounds, followed by a 10-9 round. And, to see two 10-8 rounds in a row and not see a referee stop it and not see a corner man wave it off, for me, requires an explanation. And it's within the rules and nobody's going to be sanctioned or lose their license, but I would still like an explanation. I believe the corner should stop the fight the moment they know their fighter cannot win. And a lot of corners believe, no, you never stop the fight. You let the fighter fight. You let him go out like that. And there's two schools of thought, and you can decide on your own who's right. But I believe as soon as your athlete cannot win the contest, get his ass out of there. Nobody agrees with me on that, and no corner ever stops the fight because of that. They stop it based on damage. But I thought that Barboza, who is a tough son of a bitch, and I know he's a little down right now, but in the longevity of his career and reflecting back on it, he fought everybody, and he fought them with all his heart and soul. And he fought a couple of guys that were just simply better. Kevin Lee is a rare athlete, as is Khabib. And I'm not even talking about a fighter and fighting skills. I'm talking about Kevin Lee as an athlete. Speed, strength, endurance, confidence. Then you go throw him in any sport you want. Throw him in a pool and say he's a swimmer tomorrow. He's going to do well in swimming. He's one of those guys. He works hard. He believes in himself. And he checks off all the boxes, right? He's a really special athlete. When you're in there with guys like that, sometimes it's a problem. Sometimes it just is. If you're just not fast enough to deal with the guy. And Barboza took some very bad lumps. However, over time, this will look back, and people will definitely, I think people respect him right now. I'm one of those people. But I think over time, people will look back and go, oh, my goodness. I mean, you got in there, and that was a guy who tried. That was a Shogun-esque. A Vanderlei Silva, quite frankly, deserves that same credit. If you look back at his career and go, wow, you never backed down. The point I'm trying to make to you, that fight needed to be stopped, in my opinion. I was very happy when Dr. Sherry stepped in and said, I have seen enough, and let's go home, because the result was not going to change. And then when you look at Kevin Lee, and I really do think that, I think some people agree with me. Now, Khabib had a great performance with him, too. I'm comparing largely apples to apples here, but I did think that Kevin smothered him more, blew past his guard, was dropping those hammer fists. He was doing some different attacks than Khabib, but he did appear to maul a common opponent as well as Khabib. And I tend to lean towards better. And I thought when he called Khabib out after that, I thought it was perfect. It was quick. It was to the point. It even had a little bit of humor. And then Kevin's always got swag, right? He's always going to walk off the right way. He's going to look cool as he does it. He just is that guy. Cody Garbrandt, who we just spoke to, quite frankly, has that same it factor that just pops on camera and it just works. But for Kevin Lee to summarize things in a humorous, Rock-esque way, right? I'm talking about The Rock, and just say, you know what time it is. It's Khabib time, baby. And then drop the mic and walk away with that little boyish grin on his face. For me, man, that's pretty goddamn hard to get around. If I'm a promoter, I got to take a good look at that. And I got other good options. Eddie's always good. We got Poirier sitting there. But what are we all guilty of? We're all guilty of having short-term memories. And the thing that we saw last tends to be the best. And we saw Kevin last.